Alirazel is a powerful mage. Hadron was a fast learner. Yet he did not have Alira's command of magic. Alira is the enemy of all good in the world, and her goal is to rule all Urath and then destroy it, and move on to the next world. That is how deep her hate runs and how disassociated with reality she has become. When she got a taste of what she could have as one of the mistresses of the elements, her mind truly twisted. Right now, all her magic was amplified and required less personal energy as she tapped into the elements of the world around her. It is too bad the Mistress of the Rock did not see Alira as she truly is. Or did she? Either way, Alira and her half-sister Alchemia now shared some of the power of the sisterhood, and both chose to use if for self-indulgent reasons. In the end, the power they were partially granted will be stripped of them when time is up, and they do not achieve their goals to enter an alliance with the balance. The women were warned of this, but their arrogance has made them deaf. Alira was determined to find the pearls, and Alchemia was aligned with her, and now so was this mysterious storm dragon. It did not take long for Alira to figure out exactly what Hadron was, given his backstory and general appearance. He did look like a storm drake, but certain physical attributes and even attitude belied a mix of something else. Lone storm dragons are not known to exist. They live in communal tribes and usually travel in pairs or more. Alira formed a plan to help her new ally when it came time for his next molting, which she thought would be as soon as this winter. His heritage required special attention, and should he survive this next molting, his power could serve her well. Once gaining a pearl, she could use it to control Hadron whenever she wanted, but decided he might be more useful if he felt he had his own free will. If he became defiant, then she could use the pearl. First, all she needed was a pearl. Ironically, one had been right under her nose for many years, and she had unknowingly been one of its guardians. Alira rode atop Hadron's shoulders as they approached a small town in the night. The town was named Shin and was home to the monks of Shin, an order Alira and her half-brother belonged to. The name was in honor of the celestial dragon Shin, who these monks honored. With Alira riding atop Hadron's shoulders, the two combined their powers and summoned a great storm. It was a deadly storm that would not release the rain, but instead rained lightning as they soared in from the even darker sky. They landed on the domed roof of the town's main hall. Hadron released a mighty bolt of energy from his gaping maw that tore through several buildings and homes at the town's border. Alira drew one of her swords and shouted in delight. She leaped from the roof and landed on the street 3 stories below, only barely bending her knees to absorb the shock as she landed. She moved forward down the street, casting bolts from her hands, or scything down foolish guards or innocent citizens, trying to escape and just destroying all in sight. People ran and people died. Alira's goal was to find the monks, not the peasants. There was mounting dead in the street and others fleeing. Bloody bodies missing a limb or two, charred and smoking bodies from the summoned lightning, which was finally dissipating, were scattered about the street. Hadron spread his wings and roared as he descended to the street level. His spiked mace-like tail destroyed a few more structures during his descent. When he landed, he released a second bolt of energy into the heart of town at a large temple that exploded in fiery red and blue light. Alira continued forward towards the center of town on the main street. However, before even getting that far, she came closer to a grassy ring with an obelisk-type pedestal in the middle under a medium-tall red maple. The tree and pedestal cast strange flickering and dancing shadows due to the various fires and the last few streetlights. The ring was probably only 40 feet across and the pedestal chest high. The tree was probably 50 feet high with the lowest branches about 8 feet off the ground. The pedestal was carved stone that simply had the name of the town on it carved in relief. The tree was native to Novolan and attested to the monks' origins from that country to the west. Alira stopped about 50 yards from the small monument. She felt them and drew her other sword. Her eyes snapped back and forth and up and down. Her senses reached out. Without warning, a group of monks dashed out of the shadows wielding all manner of weapons. They formed an open-bottom triangle and 2 lines behind that to form something of an arrow shape, then paused in battle-ready stances. These were monks of the teachings and culture of Neuwahlen, not the patronizing brewmakers who preached of hypocritical good over self-righteous evil. These were warrior monks dedicated to the art of battle, peace, and dedication to their pledge, usually a pledge to one divine or another. These monks were dedicated to Mao Shin, and by proxy, to the Grand Father, their charge being to guard one of the 9 pearls of wisdom. Hadrian saw the monks emerge and reflexively gave a loud rumble and lurched forward. Alira held a hand up to the dragon, telling him not interfere. The dragon paused, then simply smiled and sat back to watch. She was the best warrior known and was happy to use her magic to further enhance any advantage. Alira moved forward, and within a few moments the monks charged at her. They changed patterns and forms as they came at her. Some of the fighting forms and formations were new to her, but many she already knew well from her pastime with the monks, and others she could see were derived from forms and moves she had long mastered. The monks grunted and shouted as they attacked, while Alira, in near silence, made her way down the street, killing all the monks along the way, her body in constant motion and swords scything everything down. She flipped, slid, dodged, parried, and stabbed. A little telekinesis here, and static force shield there, and by the time she got halfway to the pedestal, all the monks were down. Some of the best fighters around, and only a few of them scratched her. She counted 19 monks, which meant 2 left, and one would be on his way to their master, Mao Shin. Hadrian was quite amused, and at the same time a bit repulsed. He thought a moment that she was excessive and could be out of control. That was the part of him that understood the need for some order. However, another part of him enjoyed the freedom and the chaos. He rose and followed her, thinking how useful she has been. He now even better understood how dangerous she could be, and expected betrayal from her. He knew well the codes of partners, and reconsidered his original plan. He would have to keep a close eye on her. An alliance might work, but she was rather unpredictable. At that moment, the last monk of Mao Shin stepped from the shifting shadows of the monument into the ruddy light with strange reds reflecting from low dark clouds. The whole scene was lit by a rising moon, partially covered by moving clouds and fires burning everywhere. A portion of the sky was clearing as the summoned storm disappeared, letting real rain clouds roll in. Alira slowed when she saw the monk, then continued forward, the burning light looking hellish on her blood-drenched body. She knew magic spells would not work on this monk. She was fine with swords. He brandished 2 sabers that looked quite similar to her own. There was no talk. She came forward, and the fight was engaged. There was a blur of movement and white and red flashing of steel, and it was over in less than a minute. With a blade in his chest and him missing one arm, he looked at her. His face showed more sorrow and pity rather than anything else. Alira sneered and snarled, then spat into a face that had strange similarities to her own, and with a hiss said, "Goodbye, brother," and yanked out her sword. The man she called brother made a short gasp as blood pumped from his chest, then fell to the slick stone-cobbled street. He had fought well and managed to wound her in her side, and now she was exhausted. But the excitement of what she was about to take control of sent more energy through her body that she could not think of resting. This was a moment of truth. The moon began to flicker in and out as the sky clouded up again and a real storm came in, quite possibly as a result of the summoned weather. One could smell a strong tingling in the air. Alira rested a moment and waited for the first drops. She sheathed her swords and centered herself, and soon the rain came and quelled some of the fires and washed some of the blood from her body and armor. She had a nasty bruise and cut in her right side, but that would heal easily when they got back to the tower. Hadrian simply watched and waited. She had the key to retrieve the pearl, and he was patient. When composed, she made the rest of the walk to the small structure to retrieve her prize, one of the mythic pearls of wisdom. She smiled to herself, thinking of how she outsmarted the great Mao Shin and his minions. She knew it would not be long before the grandfather and the grandmother would be looking for her.